the best winter fragrances for 2024/2025. Hi everyone, I'm Joe Lima. Welcome back to my channel Scented Moments, where we discuss everything about perfumes. So in this video I'll be sharing with you my favorite 15 winter fragrances for 2024/2025. So these are the fragrances that not only I'm currently enjoying, but also the fragrances that I plan to wear the most throughout this winter season. And also I want to let you know that unlike the other seasonal lists that I've made before, where I'll be ranking like 6 or 5 designer fragrances and 6 or 5 niche fragrances, this video I will not be ranking, although I will definitely be mentioning what will be my favorite niche and designer, but I will not be ranking overall because I am also mentioning a bit more niche than designers. And within designers, I'm also mentioning a couple of exclusive designers. So there's a lot of fragrances to go through and I love all of them. So quite honestly, it was a bit hard to rank in one list because that would be my goal, but it was too hard to do so. So in the end, I will just be mentioning them and I will save my top 2, let's say, for last. So let's get started. So the first fragrance is from the house of Viktor and Rolf, and it is Spicebomb Extreme. No surprises here whatsoever. I absolutely love this one. I think this is one of the best designer fragrances out there. This is all about vanilla, cinnamon, pepper, and a bit of tobacco, a bit of a balsamic nuance as well. This is like this kind of resembles to Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille, but I would say that this is a bit more dark than Tobacco Vanille, and a bit more spicy as well than Tobacco Vanille, and I absolutely love it. Great performance, and again, one of the best designer fragrances out there, and definitely already got me quite a few compliments, and my fiance loves this one. And the next fragrance, this is from House of Francesca Bianchi, and it is The Lover's Tale. And this fragrance is a bomb, both in terms of smell and performance. This fragrance is like an animalic leather with castoreum, orris butter, labdanum, jasmine. So it has also like an indolic quality into it, resinous, sticky, some sweetness in the base. But overall, this is a quite potent and daring fragrance. Absolutely love this one. One of the best fragrances from Francesca Bianchi that I highly advise you to check out if you are into leather perfumes. Very complex leather fragrance with an animalic kick, some indolic nuances, iris. I mean, it's just wonderful and perfect for the winter time. The next fragrance from the house of Tom Ford, it is Ombre Leather. Love this one. Now I wanted to include also, but I will now mention the new fragrance from Tom Ford from the private blend collection called Black Lacquer, which I absolutely love, but yet I was not able to purchase yet. But I still wanted to mention that fragrance, which is a dark, inky, resinous, smoky fragrance. Definitely the best Tom Ford release, especially in the private blend in the last years. And it's not even close. But well, I'm mentioning Ombre Leather, which is also a fantastic leather fragrance. However, unlike Lover's Tale from Francesca Bianchi, which is a very animalic and pungent and daring, this one is more likable. Still, you need to appreciate leathers because this is a very realistic dark leather fragrance with some jasmine also, and it has like a raspberry accord. This is like a cousin to Tuscan Leather by Tom Ford, but it's part of the private blend. This actually was initially released in 2016, also was part of the private blend, has Ombre Leather 16, and then they discontinued and re-released as Ombre Leather for the signature line. But this is really a wonderful, realistic leather fragrance, like you are inside of a brand new car interior, and it's just lovely. Very fantastic leather, very mysterious, very seductive, sensual type of leather, very Tom Ford-esque, if that makes sense. Love it. Perfect for winter. This one is Tom Ford's Ombre Leather, and is my favorite out of the Ombre Leather line. I also like the Parfum, but it's not like a fragrance that really makes me go crazy. And the new Ombre Leather, you already know, if you saw my last video, that I really don't like that one. That's completely different from Ombre Leather, and it's basically a clone or copy of José Nomato's Feve. So I just stick with Ombre Leather, and I also advise you to do the same, but still at least try the Parfum if you have yet to. I think it's still worth the try. So Tom Ford's Ombre Leather. The next fragrance from House of Andy Tower, and it is Au Coeur du Désert, one of the best amber fragrances out there. And I mean, ambers needs to be on my winter rotation, and also fall, to be honest, but especially in the winter rotation. And I absolutely love Coeur du Désert, one of my all-time favorite amber fragrances. My favorite being Ambre by Profumum Roma, but I have it back in Lisbon. Although I will be returning to Lisbon this week on Friday, so you will definitely see more Profumum Roma being featured, hopefully. So Au Coeur du Désert by Andy Tower. This was released in 2016. This is also like a cousin of L'Air du Désert Moroccan, which was released like in the early 2000s, a masterpiece. And the difference is basically the fact that L'Air du Désert Moroccan, it's more dry, airy, spicy, despite also having like a very heavy ambery facet. But this one takes the ambery facet to a next level. This one is more resinous. This is more dense, more full, more rich, and the spices are definitely toned down. This is more incensey, more resinous, still keeping the desert impression. Love it. I just love this. Is really a must try amber fragrance from the House of Andy Tower is Au Coeur du Désert. The next fragrance from House of Guerlain, and this is a new release. It was released this year, and it is Habit Rouge Parfum. Now, I already talked about Habit Rouge Parfum. I already compared it with the Habit Rouge Eau de Toilette, which I have. Feel free to check that video out. I also talked about Vetiver Parfum and L'Homme Ideal Parfum and compared with the original versions. So again, feel free to check that video out. Also, I forgot to mention that I have a comparison video of L'Air du Désert Moroccan and Au Coeur du Désert, which I uploaded years ago, but it's still there. Feel free to watch it. I still stand by what I said. So again, it's another video for you to have a look, and you will get like a more in-depth comparison. So Habit Rouge Parfum, this is a difficult one, because if you're a fan of the original Habit Rouge Eau de Toilette, chances are that you will not enjoy this one. I believe I'm like more in the exception, because I love the original and love the Parfum, and I don't really like the Eau de Parfum of Habit Rouge. But I love this one. And I already have seen a lot of people comparing this Parfum version with the dress code, Habit Rouge dress code, which was discontinued a few years ago. It was like a limited edition special yearly release within the Habit Rouge line, and it was wonderful. Like, I remember I tried it like years ago, but I don't really recall how it smells like. But there's a lot of people who are comparing it, like the dress code, with the Parfum, this new Parfum version of Habit Rouge. Now, I can't really compare them, but what I can say is that this is more heavy in the vanilla and in the rose as well, but more in the vanilla. It has even like a boozy quality in here, like an ambery boozy quality. With rose, you still have a bit of lavender on top, a bit citruses, but all of the main DNA of Habit Rouge Eau de Toilette that makes it a bit more mature, let's say, it's definitely toned down in here, and it's more about this boozy vanilla amberiness that makes it more modern, more likable. I would still say that this, when comparing to other mainstream designer releases out there, that it's all about like sweet shower gel type of fragrances, bubblegummy fragrances, I would still say that this is might be hard to please to the masses. But if you're already familiarized again with the Yape Rouge DNA, I think you will appreciate this one. Now, if you are a diehard fan of Dior de Toilette, again, chances are you will not like this one. If you like the Eau de Parfum, and if you are also a fan of dress code, I believe that you will enjoy this one. For me, love it. It was love at first sniff, and it's one that I definitely be wearing a lot during this winter time. Habit Rouge Parfum by Guerlain. And the next fragrance, this is from House of Les Abstraits. It is Des Cendres. Man, I love Des Cendres. This is a 10 out of 10. I already said that before, and I already talked about Des Cendres a lot in the past, especially this year. So Des Cendres has a very heavy note of birch tar, which gives a very smoky, almost inky and ashy quality to the fragrance. And it's also very piney and woodsy that develops into a very heavy tuberose type of perfume with a very prominent mossy, green, slightly resinous base. Man, I love it. This is a very, very complex perfume. I think this is best for winter because it's complex. It's very, very long lasting. Although this is an eau de parfum, but this is a very long lasting fragrance. And I just feel that this works. This screams like January, you know, when all the leaves are down, it's very cold outside, it's very grayish, and it's how this fragrance feels to me, especially in the opening, with that smoked, ashy, grayish type of nuance. And then this goes into a floral green aspect. So this is like winter or end of winter, beginning of spring. And it's wonderful. This is really a wonderful experience overall. A very unique scent profile that I highly advise for you to check out. High quality fragrance. This is Des Cendres by Les Abstraits. The next fragrance from House of Chanel, from the Les Exclusives, it is Le Lion. And I mean, Le Lion for me, it's a very special fragrance. It was thanks to Le Lion that I dived in to the Les Exclusives from Chanel, and currently I have, around 14 Les Exclusives fragrance, and yes, all started here. And this for me is a must-have in my winter rotation. Le Lion, it's all about labdanum, like a very rough, rugged, raw, animalic, furry type of labdanum, with patchouli in a base that kind of resembles to the patchouli that is also used in Gourmande. Less sweet, I would say. And you have, of course, the aldehydes. You have a bit of a citrus nuance on top. The opening kind of resembles to Shalimar by Guerlain, but I do believe that, at least to my nose, this goes in a very different direction than Shalimar. Again, this is all around this very heavy, like rough labdanum. It's not your typical sticky, gooey, resinous, sweet, syrupy type of amber. No, it's really a very rugged, animalic, furry type of amber in here. Love it. One of the best fragrances of this century, one of the best fragrances of Chanel, especially from this line, and it's wonderful for the winter time. It's Le Lion de Chanel. And the next fragrance, it's a Profumum Roma. Of course, it would not be a winter list without a Profumum Roma fragrance, despite the fact that the majority of my collection is still in Lisbon. But this one is Dolci Pensieri. Very slept on. It was released like a few years ago, like a couple years ago, 2021 to be exact. Dolci Pensieri, and I already talked about this fragrance. And this one is basically all about this sweet, vanillic, full jammy red rose with, I would dare to say that this has some oud in here, although it's not featured as an official note, but there's something in here that comes across as a woodsy base. It has like a woodsy base overall, and it's wonderful. Man, this is so addicting. Again, super sweet, vanillic, red, jammy rose, very decadent with a woodsy base. Man, I love this one. And the performance is just out of this world. It's also a type of fragrance that my fiance loves every time I wear this. And I think this works best for the winter because it's very thick, it's very heavy, very full-on type of perfume. So I highly advise you to check this one out if you have yet to. It's Dolci Pensieri by Profumum Roma. And the next fragrance, this is from House of Nuit Nomade. It is Suma Oriental. Man, I love this one. This is a wonderful patchouli fragrance. It has that cakey, chocolatey, earthy patchouli note with rum, with cacao, with cypriol. And cypriol here adds like a smoky, woodsy, dry undertones that makes this fragrance actually quite interesting than just being your regular like chocolatey cakey patchouli. And you have like some tonka beans, some creamy sandalwood in the base. I just adore this fragrance. One of the best from Nuit Nomade. Now, I already talked about Nuit Nomade a lot. I actually do have a coupon code set to 10, which I always leave in the description box down below for you to check out. Now, I always advise you to check Nuit Nomade Discovery Set. I think it's a very complete set, quite affordable, and you can definitely use my coupon code to have a 10% off. And actually, Nuit Nomade is one of those brands that it has a great quality for the price. Like this is a 100 ml and the price is 160 euros. And you can use my coupon code 10%, so you will have 10% off. And it's even a better bang for your buck, let's say. In terms of quality, in terms of uniqueness, I think it's really spot on for the price. Can't really go wrong with Nuit Nomade. But again, just purchase your discovery set first. It's always the best way to discover a specific brand, and it's how you will discover your favorite perfumes from that brand. I love Suma Oriental. Maybe Suma Oriental might not be for you, but they have other fragrances that are definitely worth exploring. So yes, Suma Oriental, it will definitely be on my winter rotation. The next fragrance, it's one of my all-time favorite designer fragrances ever from House of Dior, and it is Dior Homme Parfum. This one right here. And this is the original 75 ml. Now you have the 100 ml still available, which smells the same. However, please do consider that Dior has just reformulated Dior Homme Parfum. So basically, it's a Francis Kurkdjian take on the Dior Homme Parfum, and I already heard that it's quite different from both this version and the later, the still current available 100 ml. So take that in consideration, because I do believe that it will be reformulated and will be different. But I still have to try it, so this is just hearsay. I can't confirm it by myself yet, but just keep that in mind. Nonetheless, Dior Homme Parfum, this version specifically, and after and still a current 100 ml, I think it's a masterpiece of a fragrance. Now, I love Dior Homme. Dior Homme is, again, it's a masterpiece, one of the best fragrances of the century. This one is basically a more intense version of Dior Homme, but with a very prominent leather note. So it's very leathery. You have rose, you have sandalwood, with still a big dose of iris in here. This is such a dark, complex, interesting, mysterious type of fragrance, and the performance is immense. And this is like a must in my winter rotation, and it's one fragrance that I'm really considering having a backup, because you never know. First of all, I'm not huge. Actually, I don't have any backups. I don't really care for backups because I have a huge collection, but there are a couple of fragrances that I'm really considering, and funny enough, it's Dior Homme Parfum and the original Dior Homme. So yes, I highly advise you to check this one out. Dior Homme Parfum, either in this version 75 ml or in the still current 100 ml. It's Dior Homme Parfum. With actually, when I mentioned Dior Homme Parfum, actually this could easily be a top 5. I think these are the ultimate top 5 fragrances that I'm currently not only enjoying but also wearing the most. And this one is from the House of Guerlain, from the La Galamatier collection, is Feve Gourmande, previously known as Gourmande Coquin, which I had that version, but unfortunately was stolen from me in my luggage. I already talked about that. So Feve Gourmande, it's a wonderful fragrance. It's very similar to Gourmande Coquin. The only difference is that this Feve Gourmande is a bit more boozy in the opening, and this chocolatey truffleness that it was almost immediately in the initial spray that was coming up in the Gourmande Coquin version, here it takes a bit more time. Here it's more of a soft chocolate, very boozy with rum in the opening, and then just after a few minutes it's when this chocolatey truffleness starts to appear. It's wonderful. This is like 98% the same as a Gourmande Coquin. And actually that was confirmed by Thierry Vassa when he had an interview at The Perfume Guy, and he actually did mention that the formula is exactly the same. However, to my nose, there is this bit of a difference in the opening, but then same scent, performance, amazing. Now, amazing in terms of longevity. This is not a fragrance that it will project out of you. It's not like a powerhouse of a fragrance. It never was. Even in the Gourmande Coquin version, it was not. It's more of a fragrance that it's closer to you, although still has a nice intimate scent bubble, but that's it. It's not a fragrance that it will shout from you, but it's a wonderful fragrance nonetheless. So warm, so cozy, so delicious, so edible. This fragrance for me really screams Christmas. It's one of those fragrances that I think fit Christmas like a glove, and that's why it's on my winter rotation, and it's one that I've been wearing quite a lot lately. So it's Feve Gourmande by Guerlain. The next fragrance from House of Frederic Malle, no surprises here, although this is not part of my top 2, let's say, fragrances, but still it is the Moon. Of course, the Moon. I've been wearing this one a lot. It's currently on my top 3 most worn fragrances of the year. So for you to have an idea, I will be releasing my most worn fragrances of 2024, like either next week or definitely in the upcoming 2 weeks. I will be uploading that list. And this one will definitely be featured in there, although I will not be showcasing a full bottle because I will be in Lisbon and I will not take the Moon with me, because I have a lot of fragrances still there in Lisbon. So the Moon is my favorite rose oud fragrance. I'm actually on an oud kick lately, and this is just amazing. The Moon, it has this raspberry shisha-like quality with rose and oud. It's just to die for. I mean, performance-wise, is a beast of a fragrance. This is really a powerhouse. You need to go easy on the trigger here. Now, it's very expensive. It is overpriced, but nonetheless, it's my favorite rose oud fragrance, and highly advise for you to check this one out if you have yet to. One of the best fragrances from this Desert Gems collection of Frederic Malle is the Moon. And actually, there's a fragrance that I was forgetting to mention, and I just remembered when I was talking about the Moon and being in an oud kick lately. So this fragrance is from the house of Khadlaj perfumes, which I talked about very recently, and it is Wild Indonesian. Wild Indonesian, which is also a very recent addition to my collection. Actually, this was given to me by the brand. And Wild Indonesian, so I purchased Mystical Indian, so I have a dedicated video talking about the Khadlaj fragrances, and I compared Wild Indonesian with Mystical Indian. And so I'm going with Wild Indonesian because it's more animalic, it's more complex, it has more of a full body type of fragrance, and it's more leathery, I would say. Mystical Indian, although being animalic, it's more sweet resinous and slightly softer and more wearable and likable than Wild Indonesian. I think Wild Indonesian fits more the rough winter season than Mystical Indian, although you can go with both. But personally, I would go with Wild Indonesian. It's an oud from Indonesia, and it's a natural smelling oud fragrance. I mean, this one and Mystical Indian are the best oud fragrances that you can buy for the price. Absolutely unbeatable. Natural smelling ouds, both Wild Indonesian and Mystical Indian. And I mean, you really can't go wrong. I purchased Wild Indonesian, not Wild Indonesian, Mystical Indian at Notino for less than 50 euros, more specifically 49 euros. And it's a 60 ml. This is also a 60 ml. And this one it goes in our same price range at Notino, but you also have other websites out there that are selling this one. And I highly advise for you to check this one out, especially if you love oud. love, again, can't stress enough how good this one is. This is Wild Indonesian from the Oud Pure collection, I will call it, from Khadlaj. And now let's talk about my top 2 fragrances. So from the designer side of things, this is from House of Hermes, from the Hermes Essence. No surprises here, Ombre Narguile. So if you're following this channel for a while, you know I've been enjoying this one a lot. And actually, I've been wearing this one quite a lot. So Ombre Narguile, one of my favorite gourmands at the moment, and it's a fragrance that it was always on my wish list like for years. This was love at first sniff since the first time I tried it, and since then it's been on my wish list forever. This one, it's all about cinnamon. It smells like a cinnamon bun, actually. It's ambery, it has a vanillic quality, again the cinnamon, and it's just a warm, cozy experience, edible, and just to die for. This is a gourmand done right, and it's not overly sweet, not overly gooey, not overly decadent, I would say. It's, again, done to perfection. Highly advise for you to check this one out. This is Christmas in a bottle for me. It's Ombre Narguile by Hermes. And last but certainly not least, so my number 1 niche fragrance is from House of Amouage. I expected it. This is no surprise here. This is Interlude 53. Man, I adore Interlude overall. I have the original, and this one, for me, it's definitely a more intense version of the original Interlude. Now, many people say that Interlude 53 is basically the non-magnetic version of Interlude, which I never tried. That was the true original formula of Interlude. I have the second iteration, but this one is really magnificent, opulent, regal, dark, heavy, smoky, resinous fragrance. I mean, this screams winter. Now, if you're not a fan of the opening of Interlude with that heavy oregano and pimento in the opening, this definitely has that tone down. So the pimento and the oregano are not as intense in the opening in Interlude 53. It's definitely more smooth in that regard. But in terms of scent, it's really a beast of a fragrance. It's the blue beast. It continues to be the blue beast. Love this one. I highly advise you to check this one out. Even if you are a fan, if you have the original Interlude, check this one out. I mean, it's just a real fragrance. Man, this will be heavy on my winter rotation. Actually, I already wore it a couple of times, and it's really just a couple sprays. It's enough. So yes, Interlude 53 by Amouage. Finishing this video, guys, let me know in the comments down below what winter fragrances will you wear the most, or you expect to wear the most, and what are you currently enjoying that fit the winter season. Let me know. And also, if you find value in this video, hit the like button, subscribe, check out all the other fragrance content that I have available, and see you in the next one. Take care, guys.